Hello, gents. Back at it again. We got another video here to react to. Uh, but give my own beats like, come on, Mike Sham. But anyway, interview Mandisa Mashiko. So I'm not really interested in this guy. It's the guest that he's got on today. So, Araba Utlogana Bare.
Into the seat for a while, and finally I have succeeded. Political activist, politician in the past, not current, now business lady, Mandisa Mashego. Mandisa, welcome to the State of the Nation.
Thank you so much.
It's
I'm
about
really
time.
humbled.
About
Thank
time
you.
you made it, yeah. So you've you've been very, very active. I know we spoke about the political side. We'll talk about South African politics later, but you've certainly been a big advocate for feminism.
Not really. I'm just pigeonholed into that.
Okay, why did you get pigeonholed into that?
But I also wanted to say I don't like to be introduced wrongly. I'm a public relations practitioner professionally. I did that for about 20 years. Where I went into politics, it's just, I suppose, because I look younger, also because I'm short, people assume that when they started seeing me in politics, they thought I was in my 20s. I was 40.
Okay.
So that's not my career. I don't like to be defined that way.
That's your side gig?
No. That was me taking, society's needs a little bit too.
What the hell just happened? Sorry, guys. I'm having some issues with the stream. Just give me a second. Where's the
to practically.
And let's take it back.
I'm a public relations practitioner professionally. I did that for about 20 years. Where I went into politics, it's just, I suppose, because I look younger, also because I'm short, people assume that when they started seeing me in politics, they thought I was in my 20s. I was 40.
Okay.
So that's not my career. I don't like to be defined that way.
That's your side gig?
No. That was me taking, society's needs a little bit too practically and putting my own in the...
I find that interesting. The way she says she took society's needs a bit too personally, it's almost like she's trying to imply that she's learned her lesson from doing that. Which, hey, man, it says a lot. It says a lot, guys. This is what happens when you try to fight for the nation. You end up like Bo Aikumalo, you end up like, people that have tried, people that really dedicated their lives to this thing. And they realized, black people don't want to be saved. We know what it takes for us to save ourselves, but we don't want to sacrifice our lives to see black people recover their dignity. You know? We'd rather get into bed with the white oppressor, benefit from the system here and there. My thing is this: white people created their system for themselves. They didn't create it with black people in mind as beneficiaries. So for you to enjoy the system that they've created, but then you want to pick and choose when you want to protest against it, it doesn't work. That's not how this thing. You don't. This was not created with you in mind. So you don't get to pick and choose what you like and what you don't like. It was not made for you. You want to have things your way, you must create your own system. Now, to create your own system, you must fight for it. I told you, violence is an answer. It is the way. You fight for what you want. It's not given to you. It's not how things work in life, guys. I told you, life is just an animal kingdom. It's the jungle. And the rules of the animal kingdom apply, which is survival of the fittest, whether you like it or not. You can disagree and say, but we're all civilized. It's 2025. You can say that if you want. But if you look at the superpowers of the world, it's just oppression on steroids. They just hide it very well. Every aspect of a first world. Look at America. The reason they are America, look at Britain. The reason they're Britain is because they understand this. It's mass oppression, oppression on a mass scale, corruption on a, listen to what I'm saying. You guys think white people are not corrupt. It's corruption on a mass industrial scale, manipulating laws, making unjust laws so that they can get away with the corruption, or making laws that only you must follow, but they don't have to, and they get away with it. These are the rules of the jungle, guys. This is the animal kingdom. It's survival of the fittest. You guys are out here, hey, let's protest. You can never be a beneficiary of a system that you didn't create. As long as you guys are living and enjoying their system, you will always be subjects. You will always be workers. You will be nothing more than labor. Nothing more than labor. The highest position you can attain is to be a house Negro, where the master allows you to sit at the same table as him, but you eat the crumbs that fall from his table. You'll never be equal with him because it's his system. And this system was obtained through bloodshed and war. It wasn't obtained through diplomacy and sitting down and having discussions. This is the way of the animal. Humans are animals. We're no different. We have instincts that drive us: greed, corruption. We lie, we cheat, we steal, everything. This perception of us being these moral, just because we're more sophisticated in our savagery, doesn't make us any less animals. But people are fooled. They think because we drive nice cars, we live in fancy houses. Yeah, no, it means we are somehow more advanced. No, we're not. No, we're not. What they're saying. So it's just interesting that she would say something like prioritizing, and I get it. Who wants to cape up for black people? At the end of the day, you're going to cape up for black people, and the same people you're trying to help are going to betray you, because all it takes is a brown envelope, and you'll see that a black person, they don't want freedom. They don't want the responsibility of being accountable for their own lives. They want to have somebody to blame that's not themselves. We always want to have somebody to blame. Say it's not my fault, it's that person, it's this person. Accountability is hard, it's tough. It takes bravery. And also, it takes bravery knowing that you're making sacrifices for future generations. Your life is just a sacrifice for future generations, so that your people can finally have their dignity back. We are very short-sighted. We only think about my life today and how I'm benefiting from my life today. Yeah, until we give up the luxuries that have come with the white oppressors, these luxuries that obviously they used us as labor, and we're still labor today. That has not changed. Guys, slavery has just been rebranded. You think you're free, you're not. What we're living in currently right now is not the abolishment of slavery, it's the rebranding. How has it been rebranded? Before, your master was entirely responsible for your whole life. Everything about you was your master's responsibility. That to make sure that your health was in good condition, because they needed you to work. So they had to make sure they give you enough to eat and survive. And all of those expenses fell on the shoulders of the master. Today, we have things called jobs and employment. Now, they just pay you barely enough to survive, but then you must take care of all the other responsibilities, your healthcare, everything. They're not worried about you. You're easily replaceable. So you can't pick and choose what aspects of this system you agree with and which ones you don't. It wasn't created for you. It wasn't created with you in mind. You can't come now and try to say, hi, me, I want to. No, you don't get to call the shots. It's not yours. You can say, but it was stolen. Oh, yes, that's hence why I said it was obtained through bloodshed. So it's not about to be given up just because you're angry about it. This is how the world works, guys. Whether we want to admit it or not, it's a violent, violent world. These powerful conglomerates and powerful countries, they are where they are because of constant, non-stop corruption and oppression oppression on African labor, oppression on African minerals, currency manipulations, currency fixing. You guys you can't fathom how deep this thing runs. You're stuck in a system that is not conducive to a dignified life. It's not, no matter how you want to slice this cake. But you are happy to just continue to receive your salary, live hand to mouth, and just get by month after month, knowing that your life literally hangs in the balance of a monthly paycheck. If that gets compromised, you're done. You don't have a backup plan, or you don't have you wouldn't have enough to survive another 3 or 6 months without your job, without a salary, without most people. Of course, the blacks that have escaped are the ones that are in partnership with the oppressors or the brands of the oppressors to further exploit black people. So you have to basically shake hands with the master to say, I will help you exploit these people as long as you give me a piece of the pie, which is what the ANC is, which is what black political parties are, which is what all political parties, black political parties in Africa represent, because the colonizer has his hand in that cookie jar. Colonization didn't end. You think white people would just stop it just because you don't like it and you're making a big noise about it internationally? No. They sign deals under the table, hand out more brown envelopes, and they continue the exact same thing. They just change the faces. It's okay. You don't like white faces doing it? We'll just get black people to do it. But the idea is still the same. It's their system. And until you are ready to move away from that, until you're ready to move away from the Mercedes Benz and the Gucci bags and the suburban houses, until you're ready to give up the ideals that have been given to you by Western culture, until you are ready to move away from those things and you're ready to be self-sufficient, you're not ready. Right now, you want to pick and choose when to complain about the system, but also benefit when it suits you. It's not going to work. You will not be taken seriously either. White people don't have to take us seriously. They don't. They don't have to take us seriously. So a lot of the clever blacks can see that the only way is just to sell out, partner with white people and talk about unity and us coming together and building nation building. White people are not interested in nation building, man. They're interested in preserving their privilege, which was obtained through colonialism. They're not interested in unifying with you and becoming equal with you. You guys are crazy if you think they're going to give that up. You sound crazy talking about let's unify, let's come together. We all want the same thing. We don't. White people don't want the same thing as you, black person. What you want is some food on your table, ability to send your children to school, and some healthcare. White people want to maintain privilege above you. They want to maintain their advantage above other races. You don't want the same thing. They don't want equality because for them, that's a concession. You know, you're talking about we are all the same. We're not. There's rank in this life based on race, based on finances. You can't ignore these things and act like they don't exist. They shape everything. Every aspect of culture and society is shaped by these perceptions that are created. The media is a military weapon. Do you not understand how propaganda works? Look at the type of propaganda that was propagated throughout the different world wars, and look at the difference in how things are depicted. Objectivity is impossible. Things have to come from a perspective, and that perspective taints it automatically. There's no such thing as objectivity. Doesn't exist. Everything in life is subjective. Even things that we do agree upon, we don't see them the same way. It's impossible. Your perspective is going to taint that. Who you are, where you come from, your life's experiences, how you are perceived and judged by the rest of the world. Everything factors in. There's no such thing as objectivity. It does not exist. We can be looking at the same thing, we see it differently. So there's no such thing as objective media. It does not exist. There's an agenda behind everything, hence why it gets funded. The world is ran by whoever is funding it behind the scenes, the deep states, the silent partners. And then they get these role players who want to be on camera, who want to be in the spotlight to do their biddings. The world is ran by a rich elite ruling class. Anyway, and I like Mandisa. Mandisa corrects this guy. Like, I don't like to be introduced like that. Then this guy's like, okay. Hey, Maho, the way they hate being corrected. The way they hate being corrected by blacks. Anyway, let's continue watching.
In the back.
Yes.
You know, in the, what do you call it, in the back burner. And thinking that I could actually make a difference because you know how culturally many of us were raised in a responsible way. We were raised to respect and find it a privilege that you could serve society. So I took that literally, and I thought, oh, okay, I could actually go and serve. I could actually go and share, whatever little bit of energy and basic knowledge that I have about how to help build cohesive, productive, constructive, useful communities. And I thought that politics was one vehicle, and I've now put it to rest that it's not.
Lutrila, mandiziko wale blala, that politics is no way to cause any type of change. Politics is just a playground for the people that have sold out to sell you hope. Same as the church. Religion and all these churches are just there to give you guys hope, because that hope is essential for you to continue to give your money, to give your time, energy, and to give your cooperation, more importantly. The more you will continue to cooperate with them, because they've told you this thing is legit, right? You want freedom, right? You want this, right? So you believe these guys when they're telling you they're going to change this, they're going to fix this, and they're not going to do that. You cannot tell me, guys, how much more evidence do you see? If you're younger, you don't get it because you just arrived in this world. So for you, you really believe in these things. You believe in the politics, you believe in the politicians, you believe the news media. You don't understand that all of this is just a sham. All of it. It's all a sham, guys. It's all a sham to keep you occupied while the ruling class do what they want, which is to exploit labor, minerals, and to continue to enrich themselves generationally, to ensure that they remain in power beyond their generation. This colonial project was not a short-term one. It wasn't just, it's going to end now soon. And you say, but every empire crumbles, yes, and then is rebranded in some way, shape, or form. These things don't just completely get lost. The ideas are somehow continued in a different form, in a different location, but the precepts are still the same, right? So we still have slavery today. It's just that you're a slave willingly because you don't really have any other alternatives. They want to make it look like it's because you're not working hard enough. No, you're just born into a terrible situation that there's nothing you can do about it. And you cannot get out of that. You cannot get yourself out of that. Hence why I said you must realize that the system as it is not going to benefit you, and you have to break away completely from it. You've got to go off the grid. You've got to break away from this system, guys. But you guys are too addicted. You're addicted to the convenience, the food they give you at the supermarket, the clothing, the school they provide you with, the healthcare, right? You're addicted to these things. They gave you electricity, gave you all of these things. Then we call it society. They taught you how to live in a quote unquote modern world. Then they told you about a job. And you haven't realized that you're a prisoner within this system. You're crying to your government for things to work better. You're crying, oh, we want our economy to improve. Nothing is ever going to shift. It's not going to change. We've got the world exactly where they want it. And things will only get worse for the poor and marginalized because the wealth gap keeps getting bigger and wider and wider and wider. In fact, the middle class is being removed entirely. You guys don't want to wake up and realize that this thing is deep, guys. This idea of countries is made up, religion made up, cultures made up, history, propaganda, media, propaganda. Everything has been weaponized. There's nothing sacred. There's nothing holy. Everything has been weaponized for exploitation, for maximum exploitation and manipulation. Everything, every aspect of life. There's nothing pure in this life. We have to basically start over. That's why I said the happiest people are the hunter-gatherers. People living off the land amongst with their people, with their tribes, that are just farming, that don't have anything. They're wearing animal skin. They're happy. They don't know about these problems that we're facing. They don't know about the level of corruption. They don't have to deal with this nonsense. They just have to worry about what they're going to eat tomorrow and taking care of their children and their families. That's it. Sit around the campfire, tell stories. You are out here hustling for your life every day, getting mistreated, going to work, being dehumanized, having your dignity taken away. You're a young girl. You're considering, should I sell nudes? Should I have sex for money? You're a young man thinking, what illegal thing can I do to get money fast? Because I want to get money so I can be seen in this world. If you're a man and you don't have money, you're invisible in this world. Not even looks can save you. Before, at least if you had good genetics, you were good. Not even looks can save you now. Women don't care about that. Imagine guys that wanted, all you wanted in life, you just wanted to have a family, get married, have kids, live happily ever after, like the American dream that was painted. And all of that has been weaponized now. As soon as you get married, just know you've involved the law in your partnership. The law is involved and it favors the woman. And the media gives women every reason to leave men. It's feminism this, it's feminism that. They give every reason to divide men and women. Trust me, all of these things are being funded. They're being funded. You look at feminism in the Black community, black men and women will never unite. Our marriage rates are going to continue to drop. And people say, oh no, it's because of the economy. No, we were getting married before. It was not about money. In fact, if it's about money, shouldn't 2 salaries make things easier? 2 salaries would make it easier, right? So you would imagine that the marriage rate would be increasing at a time like this so that the 2 partners can support each other, because it's not sustainable to think the man should be the breadwinner in a system that's being manipulated to make sure to break up the household. If you don't see it, you guys have all of these traditional ideals, not realizing that the system today is breaking the entire family unit from its core. All those traditional beliefs are being broken from their core. They're making it impossible for them to be upheld in the modern world. You guys don't see that. You're saying, black men are useless, black men. Yeah, we're being oppressed, just the same as black women are being oppressed. Everybody's being oppressed. Now basically it's so narrow for you to obtain any kind of riches. You have to basically get involved in illicit criminal activities. Criminality is the way now. Even when you're smart and you've got all the qualifications, you've got all the degrees, there's an element of selling out, because you have to partner together with your oppressors to gain access to that money, those resources. You cannot do anything that is actually beneficial for your people with your smarts, with your intelligence. Unfortunately, you're applying your trade in a corrupt system that is meant to destroy black people and uplift white privilege. So no matter what you do, no matter how smart you are, no matter how many PhDs and qualifications you get, you're still going to be put in a compromising position where you have to sell out, where you must choose between your people and money. And most people choose money. So there you go. There's your money now. But what type of character do you have as a man? Can you look yourself in the mirror and feel proud of the way that you're getting your money on a day-to-day basis? I'm telling you, this system is a trap. So this thing of like the traditional ideals of it, it's gone, guys. That family unit, that structure that is ideal to bring children into the world is not here anymore. It's gone. Even if you bring children into the world, they belong to the government, the rich ruling class, basically. They run things. Children, what they're seeing on the internet is shaping who they are. Their interactions with their friends is shaping who they are, not what you're trying to teach them in the house. There's too much pressure coming from the internet. The amount of propaganda. I told you, you walk outside, there's just billboards. Anything you do, you look on your phone, it's just advertisements. You will switch on TV, advertisements. You turn on your laptop, advertisements. Everything is just one big advertisement for major brands who are controlling the narrative they're shaping reality as we know it. And you can't protect your children from such mass propaganda. Even if you try to protect them in terms of controlling what they do with their technological devices, monitoring their social media, you can't stop them from interacting with other brainwashed children that are going to infect their minds.
Not one vehicle. Yes, I also got involved with the electoral battles in the Concord with the New Nation movement. But that is a passion that I still hold, and it was not a political. It might have been a political, project, but they are not a political entity per se. I just wanted to be part of it to contribute, because I really feel passionate about the electoral reforms for South Africa, that they are completely necessary to bring about accountability, transparency, and make the country more productive and make it work, because it's not working at the moment. And part of the reason it's not working is, by and large, on the political side, it's actually most of, if not all, the responsibility really rests on the electoral regulations and policies and the laws in the act themselves. Of course, the Public Service and Administration Act also bears a massive responsibility or blame for the fact that we don't have any accountability whatsoever. We think we have. And I know that South Africa often brands themselves, government often brand themselves as the most, as a shining example of transparency and accountability. It's not true. They use the fact that they have to publish an annual report, for instance, that, there have to be parliamentary processes. There have to be budgetary processes that go from committees to communities, allegedly, the staged, so-called public participation. It's all staged because many of you don't know that there's a committee of health or committee of finance and treasury or committee of education or social development coming to your community. Many don't know, because what the political parties do is just invite their members from their structures, and an average political party will have how many members? 50, 100 in a ward. In Joburg, a ward will have an average of 50 to 60,000 citizens, and only 100 of those will know that there's something happening. There's no public announcements, etc. So that effort I'm very proud of, particularly.
So what would be the big change that we need?
So, oh God, like there's so many, but the biggest issues, like I said, if you had to isolate maybe just two issues on the political side, right, is that the Electoral Act, even with the amendments now that were wrongly actually implemented, the spirit of what the Constitutional Court judgment wanted effected has not been actually respected in the amendment. It was basically just an exercise to satisfy at a very basic minimum level.
You talk about the inclusion of independents in the last
election.
That's
literally just what happened. But for instance, an independent cannot contest on a ballot with a political party. They are one person. And by the way, also, we should not use the term independent. It should be an individual South African citizen. There's a very big difference. But that should also incorporate independent organizations. So all it basically means is that any individual can be nominated by their community or whatever constituency they might be representing to represent them politically, right? Or nominate themselves for that matter, and then start the mobilization and campaigning and education campaigns and talking to their communities and doing the research, finding out what the needs are, and also they are using their own strengths. But there is no constituency model at all. It only exists in respect of dispensing money to political parties at provincial and national level, called the constituency budget and the political party funding budget. It literally exists for the sake of being able to allocate the money in the treasury budgetary processes. It doesn't exist in the sense that a constituency system is supposed to exist, where you should be able to contact your public representative when there's key decisions being made and tell them, this is what we actually want, right? This is the decision we want you to support, or this is what the outcome we wish to see. Literally, political parties do exactly as they please. There's a lot that went wrong with it, quite a lot, but the result of it should have been to get Parliament to account, to have representatives who account and take a mandate from their constituencies. But of course, those constituencies should also be active and informed enough to be able to upwardly guide and advise.
Sorry, I have a question for you guys. Do you guys think we defeated apartheid? Genuinely curious. Because if you think that, you're misinformed. Apartheid rebranded. They're just using black people who have sold out. Or black people who think, well, there's no hope, can't beat them, might as well join them. And there's no excuse for selling out. Rather die, uncle. Choose death than to sell out your people. Rather die. There's no dignity in being a sellout. You can, guys, whatever pleasures of this world you can experience will never bring you true joy and happiness. The pleasures and conveniences that come with this Western system do not bring true joy, don't bring true happiness, because no matter what type of car you have today, there's a new one that's coming out, and then you have to find a way to upgrade and keep up, and it's a never-ending game that you're playing with your peers. You'll never be happy. You'll never be like, okay, I have this thing, it's enough now. Never. So once you start playing this game, yes, for a certain moment, it'll feel good to be on top and feel like, yeah, you're the man. And I guess for some people, that's good enough to say, well, in my 20s and 30s, I lived a certain way, and then after that, it doesn't matter. I think I should start, yeah, maybe I should do a series exposing how, look how, I mean, this week alone, look how many rich, successful men have been accused of rape or sexual assault or some form of assault or physical violence or rape. So, like, think about it. You want to be rich and successful and all these things. One over a banana here. That's what most guys want anyway. Most guys are very anyway. Like I said, we're just animals. Guys are just driven by lust, nothing else. When you just want chicks, you're willing to sell drugs to have access to money so that you can use that money to buy women. Because that's all we're doing in the modern world, guys. That's all. Not me. I'm not including myself in that because I'm not involved in this. Whatever is happening in the modern world, Nakimnad, you guys must enjoy. You're here paying. You guys are paying for women's attention. You're doing illegal things to have access to money so that you can have money to buy women. Because that's what women want. They want to be bought today. No one's interested in starting families, and I get it, because why would you want to? It's just handing everything over to the ruling elites, the ruling class. Your marriage, that contract is only going to send you to court. Those children you're having, you're going to end up in court. I'm telling you, all of this until death do us part is bullshit. You're all just going to end up in court. And you as a man, you're going to lose out because, like I said, the law favors women. And all of these things are systematically being done to separate men and women, to cause a divide, especially in the black community. It's over for us. You can forget about it. We're never going to reconcile. Now that feminism has crept into the black community, black women have been brainwashed now. It's over. It's nothing you can tell them as a black man. All black women want right now is to be good house Negroes to the white master. That's all they want. They're not interested in building the black community, black family, nothing. It's all about how close they can get in proximity to the white master. They do whatever the white master tells them to do. And then when the white master rewards them for being good house Negroes, right, good pets that listen to everything the white master tells them to do, they come back, they rub it in the black man's face and try to tell him how useless he is. It's just house Negroism on a high level, competing. Got black women and black men competing for the approval of the white master. By white master, I mean the white man. Right, Kumalo said it. Black women only listen to their Nigerian pastors, their white bosses, and their sangomas. End of story. Nobody can lead them outside of that. No one can tell them anything. And again, I said it's by design. Not because people want to be making the decisions they've been making. It's just the brainwashing is so intense. I told you, media is a military tool. It's a military tool. You know, movies used to be soldiers used to be made to watch patriotic visuals that would make them feel like dying for their country was worth it. And then they realized if we can brainwash soldiers using cinema, they would sit in a cinema, and but that's the origin of where it comes from. American soldiers would sit in a cinema and be brainwashed. And they said, CIA looked at this and said, we can do this on a mass scale. We can use this on the general public. They haven't looked back since. Social media, TV, all of these things that they're telling you to buy that are super expensive are just there to program you so they can make you do what they want, and also to collect data. You guys don't understand how military, nothing is for free in this world, guys. When they give you something, when they offer you something and it's supposed to be revolutionary, life-changing, they are benefiting on the back end in ways you cannot even imagine, in ways you can't even fathom. They're not doing it because they want the world to become a better place. AI, I keep warning you about this AI thing, the way that it's going to be weaponized. If you think the internet was weaponized, wait until you see what they do with AI. Every new invention they bring into the world, they weaponize. That's all. It's all about power, guys. Everything in life is a power struggle. It's not about the goodness of humanity and the betterment. No, stop believing this nonsense. The ruling class don't want to be equal with you. They don't want to see you come up. They don't want to see you live a dignified life. They don't want to see that. Yet you keep believing in this system. You keep believing and living in the system as if it's going to do something for you. It's not going to do anything for you. You must go back to hunter-gatherer days. Give up. Unplug yourself from this system. Go find the bushmen. Live amongst them. Get away from this world. There's nothing in this world for you. You will not find happiness here because you'll never be free. Anyway, I'm forgetting the point I was making, but Mandisa Mashego, she's spitting facts. Nothing but facts right now. Nothing but facts.
So would you advocate for a constituency system? Because, my concern around constituency systems, I can see the idea.
Yeah.
But, the old South Africa had constituency systems, and you still got the same bad outcome, i.e. a government kind of, with the majority sort of doing whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I suppose an angry letter doesn't change the behavior of the majority party. Do you think it would be different in South Africa? What do you think would be different?
Look, I mean, either way, we need something. We need to shift from what is happening now because it's not working, right? So we do need a quite a drastic change in how government operates and how it communicates with us as citizens and taxpayers, whether native citizens or settler citizens, right? All of us. And so what we know, you know this, the current system isn't working at all. So a constituency system, and I take your point, of course, that the apartheid government, the constituency system would be part of an operating model. It wouldn't be part of the laws. So you have to see the two almost as a package. So of course, any system, however marvelous it could have been, as a policy system or as an operating system, would not have changed the essence of what the apartheid government stood for. So I take your point, absolutely. I just think that we need to look at it in the context of aspirationally where we want to be as a country and some of the good laws that we do have and the constitution that we have with all its mistakes and all of that allegedly cannot be fixed, but they can be fixed. Switzerland did it. Switzerland in 1951, when they formally started their coalition governments, which they are still run through coalition governments, made sure that to guarantee the citizens the value that they deserved within the coalition arrangement where nobody got a majority, that they legislated usage of, what do you call it when you, referenda, right? They legislated it to the extent that they budget for referenda every year and further legislated a lot of other components within their country that must be put to a referendum where Parliament or any other government structure which is, legislative, may not take decisions on behalf of citizens within a coalition arrangement, so that every decision is literally owned and decided upon by the people who have to pay for it and to whom the country actually belongs, right? And so you have to look at it in a holistic, complete. But in South Africa, there's a lot wrong. Like I said, there's also the Public Service and Administration Act, which is very which overly empowers senior managers in government to basically do as they wish, and basically block certain levels of accountability, I would imagine, between them and the political heads, because together with the executive, they are responsible for government. And the only time when the senior managers in government are on their own is during that month when legislatures, councils, and National Assembly is actually put on halt in order to prepare for elections, whether it's a month or two before, I can't really remember, at the end of a political term. That's when the state takes over in conjunction with the executive authority of government.
Mandisa Mashego is comparing us to a country like Switzerland. And we will never be like the likes of Switzerland, because we are not in charge of our own country. But yes, we're paying. See, we're disguised as if we are a sovereign nation. Africans are not free, and they never will until we go to war. You understand? The thing you want, you're going to have to obtain through bloodshed. It's not going to be given to you because you are so good at debating. You understand? It's not going to be given to you because, oh, I'm so eloquent. Listen to how good my English is. Think of all the hoops that Black people have had to jump through thinking that it will bring some kind of alleviation, liberation. No. You speak the most amazing English. You went to white schools, private schools, expensive schools. You got the very best in education from primary, high school, university, working the best jobs, right? Promoting white brands, pushing white culture, pushing white capitalism. And then, you use your money. Yes, good. You help your family and you think, yeah, me, I've played my part. But your people are still enslaved. We've done nothing until we collectively come together. We must make a choice. It's either we are willing to die for this thing, for true freedom, not these little stompies that they've given us, that we call life today. It's not a life worth living. It's not. Rather go be a hunter-gatherer. Go be a bushman. Go into the bushes and live like that. Then you're free. Live off the land. If you die in dignity, and you die a free man. Unlike in this system where there's no dignity. Your everyday life, you're on your knees. Trying to find ways of how can we make the government accountable. You can't and you never will. No matter how many of you there are, you can be in the millions, in the billions, it doesn't matter. The ruling class, they run the world. Now they've got AI militaries. What are you going to do to them? You're going to protest.
And then within that month, a whole lot also ends up going wrong. Expenditure related stuff. And of course, I'm not saying that I'm not giving the politicians under the current Black government that we've had since 1994, I'm not giving them a pass, a free pass in this regard, because we all know that majority, if not all, the senior managers are actually deployed by them. They should not be. They should be employed on merit. But the Public Service and Administration Act is the one that actually enables all of this nonsense around deployment and allows the cutting of corners, and robs us, the citizens, of having the best possible people who are, qualified, whether through experience and academics, whatever the professional bodies determine is okay for that sector, for that area of qualification of profession, who are experienced, so that they are not learning on the job in a senior position in government. The risk is too high, and that they have the right level of professional development to be able to deliver the deliver the work. You know that one of the big things that's coming out now, and I've been aware of it for a long time actually, I just couldn't really prove it until now. Recently, I see there's a lot of information that confirms that all of this looting is also exacerbated by the appointment of illegal or legal foreigners for that matter. There are certain positions that whether a foreigner is legal in a country or not, they may not be in such a position, such as security, I think certain treasury.
Go watch my previous videos. I told you South African blacks are being replaced with foreigners, foreign black nationals. I told you. Just like how they wiped out the Native Americans in America, the Aborigines in Australia, being wiped out. 50 years from now, we're going to have so few black South Africans in the country. 100 years from now, gents, the country is gone, guys. I want to be honest with you. Tout clar. Finished. The only way out of it is to collapse the system. Complete rebellion. Refusing to go along with it. We have to cause so much disruption and chaos that the system collapses, which means we have to sacrifice our lives for freedom. Sitting and debating white people is not going to work. They'll entertain you, but they're not going to change. They never will change. But they know that as long as you feel like you're being heard, you will continue in the system as it is, and nothing will change. Your black oppressors, they will say, we're hearing you. They'll sit down with you, talk to you. They'll sound reasonable when you speak to them. You'll feel like, okay, I have hope that there's change. It will never come. This is a loop. Listen closely to what Mandisa Mashik was about to say now. She talked about how illegal foreigners are occupying. I told you, go back to my previous videos. I told you about administrative positions in municipalities and governments, sensitive ones that are being given to foreigners. White people are behind this. They're orchestrating it. Foreigners are coming in buses, trucks, taxis. White people love it. Why? They want to replace us. They want South Africa to be theirs and for future white generations to come. So if they replace us with these foreigners that have no patriotism, that have no connection to the land and the people that have died and spilled their blood for this, for their people, they won't protest like black South Africans constantly protesting and disrupting the system. White people don't like that. And people say, these protests, any kind of disruption is good, but we must organize it on a mass scale. We can't have these small Anyana groups protesting this day and then another day. The entire black community must come together and shut the country down. But we will never unite. We're too tribalistic. Yes, you heard me say it. Rona South African blacks, we will never unite. We are too tribalistic, and if we're not tribalistic, we are too house Negroish. We sell out at the first sign of a brown envelope. We don't have enough pride and dignity in ourselves to say, I'd rather die than sell my people out. And that I would rather have more love for my fellow black South African who's of a different culture than hate, for the betterment of all of us. But here she's telling you that foreigners are being put into position, they're being planted into highly sensitive, highly influential positions within the country, which is a security risk for us black South Africans. And it's happening. We don't even know it's happening. It's under our noses. We don't even see that it's going on. We have no idea. South Africa is going to look very different 50 years from now, 100 years from now. I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now. If we continue on this way, acting like putting our heads in the sand like we're ostriches, you can forget. The country's gone. Me, I've tried to say, guys, let's do this, let's do that. Especially black people that went to white schools. They love the sound of their own voices. They just want to debate and sound smart so they can impress people, so they can impress white people. If it's black guys, they try to impress white girls or girls in general, really. They're just trying to impress girls in J. Because the men today, their entire self-esteem comes from how women view them. Their entire identity That's fatherless behavior. That's how you know. We haven't, as black men, we haven't had strong male leadership. The fathers have not been in the household. So the validation of the new generation of men today comes entirely from women. Why? Because that's how they were raised. They're nothing without women. They're nothing without the opinions of women. Not to say women aren't important. I think we're both, men and women are both important to each other. But men's masculinity today is defined by female validation, and it's because of how they were raised. If you're raised by a single mother, of course, that's going to wire you to do everything in your ability to impress or to win the validation and affection of a woman. So we've lost men, we've lost true masculinity, and it was by design. And then this has destroyed the family unit. It's completely destroyed it. So the men today, they're not men. They're soft and feminine and attention seeking. Yo, 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 yo. The men today, guys, they are attention seeking. They're competing with women for attention. Soft, feminine men, even if they go to gym, you can find the biggest guy, tallest guy, he goes to gym, he works out. And again, why is he doing it? Before, you had to be in good shape for your own survival. You had to be physically strong. You had to know how to hunt, walk or run long distances, carry things. Being strong was a prerequisite. Now you see guys that they're just gymming. Why? Hoping that women will see them. You hear guys talk about gymming for their self-esteem. The world is broken. So you want to be big and strong for what? Your self-esteem, to try to impress women. There's no actual function behind your bigness that actually benefits your community in any type of way. You're not learning how to build things, nothing physical. It's just for aesthetics. Yo, guys. Yo,
Positions, all the sections of government that are excessively sensitive and that can put the country at risk from a security point of view or fiscal management point of view. We have a whole host of people in the SAPS, in the NPA, in the courts, in basically across the board in government, very, very senior people appointed into positions in government who are illegal foreigners, who have fraudulent, identity documents, who are foreigners also, even if they are legal, but they should not be in such a position because naturally, if I'm a foreigner in a country, how patriotic am I going to be really?
You could argue that two ways, because in many cases, the foreigner ends up being more patriotic than the person that's born there.
Well,
because they've chosen to be there.
You could argue it, but the reality is that we need to respect the fact that
this host said what he just said is an indication that he supports foreigners coming into the country because, like many white people, they believe that these foreigners coming in are actually more grateful for the opportunities that white people are giving them. Whereas black people don't think it's enough because they know, black South Africans know, that their land was stolen, their cattle was stolen, and that this industrialization was built on their backs when they were slaves. So when you hear a white person pushing back like this, it's because he himself is a beneficiary of this type of system where you're using black foreigners to come into the country and you're giving them the labor that should be going to black South Africans. And it's being done deliberately. And they're acting like, because these black foreigners are more grateful since they come from poverty, which of course you're going to be grateful. It's not that you're grateful, you just want to survive. So you agree with whatever the master says. I hate how white people try to negotiate with black people who are, when black people negotiate on an empty stomach, you can't use that as the standard of what black people want. No, in their desperation, they're going to say yes to anything you say. Whatever terms and conditions you lay out, they'll say yes to. Why? Because they don't have a choice. They're just trying to feed themselves and their people. Then you use that as, you see these people, and you make a moral judgment on their character. No, these people are willing to, they'll sell out. They'll sell their organ to survive. You can't now use that as the standard of their decision making and the standard of what they want in life. But this is how white people are. They are so manipulative. This pushback. He's been quiet the whole time. Listen to him now pushing back on the illegal foreigner thing, or just foreigners in general. We shouldn't have foreigners occupying senior positions in our country. Period. Those belong to Black South Africans. But the reason they're being planted, right, installed in these positions, is to replace Black South Africans and to drown our voice, to drown our voices as Black South Africans in our own country, so that we don't get to have a say-so in how things go. And if you mix up the genetics long enough with the Black South African genetics, you keep mixing up the genetics, now you got children that got two nationalities, South African and something else from Africa. Becomes increasingly difficult now to even identify who's who. Some of them will have South African surnames. Some of them will be able to speak the Black languages. It becomes difficult now. Who's who? You see? And they're not becoming cultured the way we are cultured. No, they're cultured the way the white master wants them to be cultured, which is Black coconuts, Black sellouts, clever Blacks. I keep telling you, the country's gone, guys. Before I used to say it's going. It's gone. We don't want to fight. We don't want to fight for our dignity. It's like I keep saying, that's the only thing we're fighting for. That's the only thing worth living for. It's our dignity. But we want to live our lives on our knees getting crumbs from the master's table. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that the fact that this white man is pushing back on this particular thing, you could easily, it feels like he's guilty of doing something. I'm pretty sure the workers at his house, the maids, the workers, the gardeners are illegal foreigners. And he would love for that to be kept on the DL. A lot of white people do the same thing. They be hiring random Black foreigners that just walk up on the street, from the street on some, I'm looking for work, and they feel sorry for them. But it's not that they feel sorry for them. They're doing this thing deliberately because they don't feel Black South Africans are grateful enough to deserve the money. So in their way, it's like, to humble Black South Africans, let's give these opportunities to Black foreigners, whether they're here illegally or not. And some white people will even help these foreigners get their papers, not understanding that this is really hurting Black South Africans in their own country. They love it. They want to act like they're being magnanimous. That they're supporting these poor people. What about the poor South African Blacks that are suffering and dying? You don't care about them? But all of a sudden, you've got a heart when it's a Black foreigner. Fuck out of here.
We should be, as citizens of this country, the first, go-to resources, especially for critical positions. I don't fall for that argument. In the security clusters, you cannot have foreigners. You simply cannot. It will compromise in many situations. It already has. Compromise the safety of the country and compromise many other values that we as citizens of the countries hold dear. And if there's a policy that says that, and the majority of the citizens agree, then we should hold ourselves to that standard. We are a big population.
Yeah.
We don't have an excuse not to have certain skills. Do you know what I mean?
So would you say that you understand or perhaps even endorse what's happening in the USA?
Of course I do. In what context? I definitely endorse the removal of illegal foreigners. I definitely endorse the expose on massive government corruption. I definitely agree with the fact that Trump has been able to look at Treasury itself to see the massive movements of money there. Because let me tell you, as an example, in Gauteng, the Treasury, or Department of Finance, whatever they call it now, at some point it was joined with eGov and some function of eGov, which never really truly saw the light of day. And I have quite a reasonable background in, working in the ICT sector, in the private sector. And so I had a special I worked in different sectors that
Mm.
I was very passionate about, and that was one of them. So I had a very deep passion for that, and I served in that committee. And I mean, you're living in Gauteng now. Is there e-gov? Is there e-government in Gauteng? There isn't. But one of the things that happened, and I'm adding to what you were saying earlier, asking me about whether or not I agree. Remember, government, even a public company that is listed in the stock exchange, or any sizable company that has various shareholders, is accountable to its shareholders. Companies are also accountable to their customers. They are accountable to their service providers. They are accountable to people who supply them with the raw materials, etc. Society is accountable to each other. We have a government that is not accountable to anyone except themselves. In Gauteng, at Treasury, I had a whistleblower share information with me, but the whistleblower was too chicken to give me the hard evidence and to agree to come forward, right? Just as well, because I opened so many cases with the Hawks. And none of them have, I mean, I can't think of one that has ever been taken to the court successfully. I received a notification just the other day from the SAPS telling me there's a case I opened in 2018 that they are now investigating in January 2025. Money disappears. So what Trump is doing, whatever technology they are using to study the financial flows and all the transactions, because it's a very complicated system that moves money.
A case opened in 2018 is now being acknowledged in 2025. This is the system you guys trust and believe in. You guys don't understand. This system was not meant for the integration and globalization and everybody enjoying it. White people created the system for themselves, and now they will continue to manipulate the system to benefit themselves and those that have sold out to them. So that includes the black bourgeoisie that have sold out to white capital. I mean, that's ridiculous. 2018. It's now 2025, guys. Think about that.
Money from national treasury to provincial treasury that involves the banking system. And I'm not sure, maybe the Reserve Bank to some extent. And then from the provincial treasuries to the banks. So your payroll, payment of service providers, all the bulk payments, very complex system with the banks that they use. Through that system, these guys here in Gauteng found a way of, and obviously I'm forced to say it's an allegation because, you know, I couldn't rely on the whistleblower. They found a way of siphoning money, you know, through those bulk transfers. Every time there's a bulk transfer, the social relief grants, salary payments, all the bulk payments, service providers, and any other sort of bulk payment that comes through. Every time those bulk payments are due, they have set dates when they've pre-programmed them through the MAC tape, etc. There's a big chunk that comes out and disappears, literally disappears through and I'm not saying it's the bank's fault or it's Treasury's fault, but through that transfer between government and the bank. And of course, this is a sophisticated thing that I'm trying to describe that would involve what you call computer programmers or hackers. And
just listen to how complex the corruption is. Bulk amounts of money, payments are just disappearing. You try anything funny like that, you're going to jail. But they're above the law. But you believe that you believe in the system. This is what you want. You believe in this white system that we live in. You think it can somehow benefit and be for the good of all humanity and for all black people. No. If you say you don't want white people, they must take their system and all their industrialization and infrastructure, everything, they must take it with them. We cannot take credit for what we did not build. We were just the labor. So if these guys go, they must leave with everything. We have to start over, understand who we are, and industrialize ourselves our own way. or else the corruption will never end. Because what? You're going to inherit the same system that is already corrupt with all these different loopholes. What are you going to do? You're better off just starting over. But like, listen to the money laundering here. Right? It's in the actual day-to-day running of the system, incorporated. So you think, let me just make the right vote. This thing is deeper than that, guys. Even if you vote for the right party, even if you have a leader who has the perfect heart, wants to do the right thing, it's not going to work in this system the way that it is. We have to overthrow this thing entirely, start from scratch, do things our own way. It will not work if you adopt their corrupt system. It won't work. You cannot tweak it. It's fundamentally flawed because it was not designed to benefit everyone.
I don't know how long this has been going on for, but the informant who told me this at the time, I think might have been talking of a 2-year period. But of course, once they had learned how to do it, once they had gotten the hacker skill, it was just a question of changing the individual hacker and replacing them with somebody else. So the looting is not just through the procurement system, the tender system. It's not just through the ghost employee, through the payroll, the so-called ghost employee nonsense that has never ever been accounted for. Every time you unearth ghost employees, the MEC will come back. Barbara Creasy once did that with me in the finance committee. Said, "Oh no, we've cleaned out the ghost employee thing." And I'm like, "But I didn't see anybody get arrested. I didn't. Where's the money? Is it back in the bank account? Can we see proof of it in the management accounts, etc.?" No. We've stopped it.
Yeah.
Like, but what about the money that disappeared? What about the investigation to say who took it? How did they take it? What about the arrests? Clearly, there were employees between finance and HR, whoever handles the payroll. There's a collusion there. Somebody's doing it inside and outside, whatever, but nothing happened. No. We've just stopped it.
Yeah, but obviously, you speak about democratic systems.
Yeah,
and the jury's out as to what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Until recently, we thought that the U.S. Political system, seemed to work. Now it doesn't seem to work. And the one thing that seems to derail political systems are significant majorities.
Exactly.
Where you would say that the best system in the world hold up to a ruling party with a big majority and its levers on power and able to shut things down, right? I'm saying even if it had your best system that you could think of.
Once you have that majority, which is what I was talking about earlier, because power is very intoxicating.
Sure.
I mean, anybody with too much power in their hands is.
But let's talk about the role then of some of the opposition parties.
Yeah.
Right? Especially the leaderships of those opposition parties that prefer to pick fights with people who aren't involved in the malfeasance. Right? But say nothing about the money stolen in the Gauteng.
Listen. Let's simplify this for you, because I do understand that an average citizen will have a rosy-eyed, all of this, like every day. I mean, how many articles are exposing corruption in South Africa on a daily basis? On a daily basis. 24 billion rand in PE. That's the latest story.
Oh my gosh, 24 billion.
And nobody's
billion.
Nothing happens. In China,
billion.
Executed immediately because it's public money. Here's the thing, right? So what they do, these guys, and I don't want to cast aspersion on all of them because that's not fair. I was unfortunately in that space. I'm very anti-corruption to the point I get very violent about it. You will not drag me into any form of corruption. I refuse. And I'm very vocal about it. I've always been. It's not a new thing. But what I know they do, if there's a vote on budget, would obviously be the most critical vote. I mean, other votes are on policy issues, lawmaking, whatever. But if there's a money vote to pass a budget so that we can proceed, they pay each other to vote with your money. So the one who's governing, who's in charge of the purses, would find ways, they loot them.
I've always said democracy is a very corrupt system, because what it allows is for the ruling elites to get their way through democratic votes by buying votes. Votes can be bought. As long as you can buy votes, that's not a fair system, because it basically caters to the rich or the powerful. And that's why the rich ruling class and the elites like to deceive people by making them believe that democracy equals freedom, or that democracy means that they have power. You, the people, have power. No, you don't. Votes can be manipulated. Votes can be bought. So all of this belief that if you favor democracy, it's a more sort of modern system and it doesn't work. It disguises the corruption much, much better for those that are running the show behind the scenes, by making you think you have power, by making you think you have a say. You don't have a say.
The money through tenders. We all know how it now works, right? I've now just shared with you another way that they steal it directly from Treasury. Or there's another way that they steal in Gauteng, for instance. And I think they do it everywhere, basically, because one province tests it out. They go and share with their buddies, as you said, if it's a majority. Even if it's different political parties. I mean, some of the parties come from the ANC anyway, so it's just a continuation of the same thing. But now the competition, the stakes are higher. We're now fighting over who's entitled to steal more, because you robbed me of an opportunity to lead in the ANC, and therefore I couldn't get my billions or whatever it is that the hell that I'm feeling entitled to steal.
Imagine these guys are in competition for whose turn it is to steal. Like you can see Hona Jwale, Paul Mashatile. I think that's a Cyril Ramaphosa selected, handpicked guy to be deputy. And obviously they're starting to bring him more to the forefront. I heard there was an assassination attempt or something. I need to read up on what's going on over there. And Fikile is also competing for the position because he's like, the people in the ANC, they really love me, blah, blah, blah. Guys, these people are competing for who's going to loot next. You see, you, the citizen, you really believe in change. You really believe that things are going to turn around, that somehow there's going to be some kind of something for your life that'll improve, that'll get better. No, it's all an illusion. It's an illusion. It's the same as people that go to church. You think this prayer your pastor is doing is so special that it's different from yours somehow. You also pray, you don't get answers. But when your pastor prays, you think you're going to get answers. He's a man just like you. He's human just like you. No special powers, no gift, no nothing. But people are too gullible because they're so desperate. They hold on to hope, sometimes falsely, false hope. You give this pastor your money. You that doesn't have money, every service, midweek and Sunday, you are giving money away. Money you don't have. How is this pastor changing your life if you are paying them? You are giving them money, but your life is not changing. Same thing. Politicians can tell you anything and you believe them. Your life is not changing. At which point do you say enough is enough, guys? Let's shut down the country. When? At which point, guys?
Deal. They also are setting up companies through foreigners who don't exist. Some of them exist, but obviously have the fraudulent IDs. So no, I do not agree. Foreigners only need to go to a country if their skills are needed there. There's no other reason. They can come as tourists, but then, of course, sometimes they don't leave, of course. We know we got a huge chunk of the illegal foreigners from Africa after the 2010, during the 2010 World Cup. And a lot of criminals from all
Yep.
over the world, the Mexican cartels. And all that.
2010.
So they
They
get
stayed.
foreigners to set up a company. And then that company will get a fund from the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, another case that I opened, never ever investigated to this day. I chat to the guy from the Hawks now and then. He'll, if he, whatever, he needs to follow up on something. There's another case that I'd opened against just allegedly robotics program, AI. There's nothing, South Africa is not known for having robotics and AI unless there's a private technology company that's investing in it. Nonetheless, they spent a lot of money, took students overseas for a week on holiday. And those students came back and said, literally, we were on holiday and we came back. And then we were told we must say that we went on some student exchange, blah, blah, blah thing, but they were interns in government. So I was saying that one of the other creative ways they get foreigners to open companies, they allocate.
South Africans, are you listening? This is where your tax money is going. People are being sent on vacations. Guys, the country is gone. I told you. Foreigners have infiltrated. It's over. It's done. It's over. Bye-bye. It's over. Happened under our noses. It's done. If you're running these kinds of syndicates under people's noses, guys, it's gone. It's too late. You think you're going to change things by the next election with your vote? It's gone. We are going to become, we Black South Africans are going to become like the Aborigines in Australia and the Native Americans in America. That's it. We're gone. We're done, bro. It's over. Finished.
Grant funding to them where there's, a program to grant fund, for instance, the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller programs, and then, or a loan, maybe a CEDA or CIFA, whatever, and then the person disappears with the money. Of course, if it's a loan and it's funding, they would have had to deposit it into their bank account, which would have been long approved because they've got fake South African documents. And then when you are sitting in the legislature and you're going through these words and words of lists of 2 million, 500,000, 2 million, 1.5 million, 3 million, all this money is written off by the CFO and their teams. And you ask them, what do you mean? You can't just write off without an investigation. Where's this money? Where's this company? Where are these people? No, we can't find them.
Oh my God.
Government issues IDs.
Yep.
It was always my popular response. I'm like, but government's IDs are not issued. Birth certificates, death certificates, marriages, divorces, all of those things are issued. Certificates. They're issued by government. What do you mean you can't find the person?
Yeah.
No, we can't find them. Okay, did you go to the premises because according to the reports, you gave them this funding because you went to verify the business?
Okay, so it sounds like
it's mass looting. I was just supporting what you were asking.
Yeah.
I was giving you why I'm expanding on why what Trump is doing is extra necessary. And what I'm mentioning is what I know.
Yes.
There are many more scams in government.
Sure. And you were just at provincial level, and there's two levels with
I'm
more
talking
money on either side.
A nanoscopic sample.
So it sounds like the system is so rotten, because obviously one can then say, what is the role of the judicial system in this? The prosecuting authorities, all of these people that are not doing their jobs or turning the other way, right? Looking away, maybe incentivized to do so.
Police, you see, one of the problems is that, and of course, there's pros and cons to all of this, but if your entire senior leadership of the police are deployed, chances of getting a straight cop are very slim.
Yes,
sure.
If your judges have to be appointed by corrupt politicians in the Judicial Services Commission, which is a committee of parliament, in the same corrupt parliament we are complaining about, what are the chances that the best of the best from the legal fraternity will become judges? I was talking to a lawyer earlier on who said to me confidentially that a lot of the good judges don't want to serve, whether it's in the Court, High Court, Supreme Court of Appeal, they do not want to because of the...
For all of you young people that you want to go through the system so you can make a change. I want to be a lawyer so I can make a change in the... No, guys, you cannot make a change in this system. It's rotten. It's finished. It's over. We need a new system. You cannot go through the system to change the system. You can't. So here you are, you're hearing. You know how many lawyers or people that have studied law, that have degrees, LLB, can't get jobs in South Africa. No jobs, sitting with the degree. You know, degrees that are very difficult to obtain. Sitting at home, no work, for years. Not just a few months. They've been sitting at home for years. Cannot find work anywhere. They're sending applications, and they realize that the only way to actually get in is if you know somebody who puts you in. It's not based on merit. Nothing in life is. So there's all of this meritocracy, and no, bro. In reality, that's not how the cookie crumbles. Life is not this perfect cookie cutter. If you work hard, like what you're told when you're young, if you work hard and you're dedicated, it's bullshit. Because they tell you that because they can't tell you the truth, that there's so much corruption in this life and in this world. If you're a woman, at some point, they're going to try to make you use your vagina to get positions. If you're a man, they're going to find a way to try to involve you in their corruption to make sure that you're also complicit. They don't want any innocent people among them. Everyone must be guilty so that no one can take the higher moral ground. You can't take anybody down if you're also complicit. If they go down, you go down with them. That's how it is. You think P. Diddy is the poster child for pedophilia and sexual assault and all these different things he's been accused of in America? It's definitely not a black man. It's white people. That's what they've been doing since time. Dragging, raping. This is the modus operandi of white people. Epstein was about to spill the beans. All of a sudden, he committed suicide. Why? To protect the people. If he was really, if anything they told us was real, that he was actually going to expose people, then they wouldn't have allowed him to be able to do that. I'm telling you, they're dealing with P. Diddy right now in prison. They're dealing with him for crossing the white man, for thinking he could be more powerful than a white man. No matter how he was a billionaire, no matter how rich he is. You thought you could be above a white person, a white man, superior to a white man while you're living in his system. You can never be superior to a white person while you're living in their system. Ever. Ever. Not just superior, you can never be equal. You'll never be equal to them while living in their system. They make the rules and they're allowed to break them. You can't. You must stick and play by the rules. And the rules are there to keep you stagnant. The more you're being legal and playing by the rules, the less you can move forward in life.
Of the process, the toxicity of the process of the Judicial Services Commission, and just the general rot in the entire criminal justice system.
Okay, so all the changes of electoral systems on earth is not going to stop that. One would imagine.
I can't agree with that because
man, I hate, listen to how cynical this white person sounds. Basically, yeah, whatever. It's never going to change. Accept it. This is what white people want. Forget about apartheid, man. Forget about the past. It's gone. Let's move forward. Let's move on. No, nigga, not while you're in charge of 80% of the country's economy and the land. We're not going to move on. You're crazy. There's no moving on. Hey, Batu. I come to your home, steal your shit, and then when I get caught, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep it, but move on. What's on? But, yeah, Mandisa's got balls, guys. Mandisa, she pushes back. She's no walkover.
Why I say that, just there can't be a person that watches this and we understand, okay, that's a small percentage of society.
Yeah.
But there's surely not a South African that doesn't know that this is happening, but yet they keep on endorsing it with their votes.
Well, here's the thing, right? So South African voters don't have an active participation.
Okay, I'll translate what this white racist man just said. He basically said, he's implying that blacks are responsible for this thing continuing because they keep voting for the ANC. And by the ANC, he means you keep voting for black people. He's very racist. It's subtle. Some of you, if you're white, you don't understand anything I'm saying right now. But black South Africans, or black people in general, understand exactly what I'm saying. They get it. They know what's going on here. And notice everything that he pushes back on. Pay close attention to what he pushes back on. It reveals the typical white man's mentality. So, in other words, black people are responsible, they're complicit because they keep voting for this corruption, as if the apartheid government didn't have corruption as well. As if this is not a system that was inherited from white people. They're trying to act like black people are the first people to ever be corrupt, ever. Black South Africans are the first people to be corrupt. There's been corruption. Black people black South Africans inherited a corrupt system. They didn't create something from scratch and then choose to make it corrupt. Black people are working together with other white corrupt people. They're not doing it alone. Everybody's eating. But the propaganda machine was pushed to make people believe that corruption only exists amongst black people and that white people will run the country honestly because they are just morally better. Hey, guys.
Patient in the governance of the country.
But
The Electoral Act doesn't empower you as a voter.
To vote for somebody else, sure it does.
No, I'm saying to you, it does. So changing the person or changing the party.
Yeah, this white guy, look, he's got gray hair, very old man, but he's actually very simple-minded. He doesn't understand that it doesn't matter who you vote into place. The system is ran by the ruling class. The ruling elites run the system. Irrespective of who you vote into power, it does not matter. Basically, the reason this is racist is because he's trying to imply just vote for the DA and things will be okay. No, they won't be okay because look how the DA neglects poor people. DA only takes care of the rich people in the richer areas. That's it. But he's under the impression that if you just put a white person in charge, things will be better. Stupid person. This is a stupid white man right here, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, stupid old white man who thinks he knows better. These are the kind of conversations white people have when they're sitting amongst each other. Oh, guys keep voting for the ANC and then they complain that things are getting, it's what you deserve it if you don't know how to use your vote. They really think this white system is clean, that if you just vote correctly, democracy will run its course and will have justice. Imagine how naive and arrogant you have to be to believe this. Sure. All right, guys.
Party is also not the solution.
Yep, party politics.
Because you need to change the policy framework to make sure that accountability, transparency, and
Mandisa had to take a moment just to grasp the stupidity of the man sitting across from him, and the naivety and gullibility of this man. White people will question you with this arrogant tone as if they know better. Meanwhile, they're just exposing how ignorant and naive they really are of their own system. They really don't understand how evil it is. They've been brainwashed with pure nothing but propaganda. Mandisa has to take a deep breath because he understands how racist this guy is. Like I said, if you're black, you understand what I'm saying. You get it. If you're white, don't even bother. You don't understand this.
a people-centered system of government, because it's not a private company. It's government that all of us subscribe to and owe our allegiance to, right? Needs to have a system established to run it objectively. It must not depend on whether today you have a good guy who just, from the bottom of his heart and in good conscience, and because this person is well raised and well groomed, they understand that corruption is wrong. They are not going to collude together, whether across party lines or whatever, and agree that we're going to support this budget vote because you just gave me 50,000 rand, because that's what's happening now. They give each other money and they vote with things they don't even understand. Let's not even talk about the fact that
Zinzin, there you go. The parties that voted with the ANC, that were either promised positions in the GNU or were just straight up given money to betray South Africa. And this thing has gone to court. I hope you should watch that trial on the SABC or SMWX. Go watch the live stream. It's like 6 hours long. And you'll see, guys, the ANC pulled a fast one. There's no hope. We think, if I take it to court, if I go through the judicial system, you don't get it. If you think going through the right channels, quote unquote, the right channels is the solution, you still don't understand. There are no right channels. They don't exist. All the channels lead to a dead end. All of them.
A lot of the Electoral Act doesn't have criteria. It doesn't say for you to stand as an MP or
Yes.
you must be able to do X, Y, Z in terms of competence. There are people who sit there with stacks and stacks of reports and cannot interrogate them, let alone read them to be able to interrogate them, let alone read them to understand them and then interrogate them. So I'm saying to you, you can change the political parties all you like, but now your hopes are resting on a prayer that
That the next
Mike
one's better.
is a great guy.
And he won't be.
He's very trustworthy. We happen to know his track record wherever he worked or wherever he ran a business or wherever he served on a board, that he's going to do the right thing. He's not corruptible. That's not professional.
So
that doesn't give guarantees.
Yeah, sure. So Mandisa, would you say is that what informs the vitriol, for example, of race in South Africa, because there's a diversionary tactic? In other words,
God.
You kind of say, well, all this money's disappeared. Yes, but what about apartheid?
Yeah.
Because then that just sends people down the other road, isn't it? And it's
perfect.
Oh my word. Did you hear what this white man just said? I'm going to end it here. I will do part 2 shortly.